This brief farewell episode of the Rite of 433 started a bit differently than the previous ones, with a musical example. This beautiful short piece was Sarabande by the great French composer Francis Poulenc. After hearing numerous examples of contemporary concert music composed throughout the 20th century, as well as early 21st century, how does this particular piece fit into this narrative? It was composed 47 years after Stravinsky's Rite of Spring and 8 years after 433, titular pieces of this music podcast. In this return to tonal, or more accurately, modal harmony, can we find some guidelines for future concert music? And where do we really go from here? These questions don't really provide any specific answers. If anything, they only create further questions. But that is not necessarily a bad thing. If we go back to the very early days of what we now call contemporary music, we might find very similar questions. They are truly eternal, regardless of whether science and technology will play an increasingly significant role in the creation of music and art in general, which we can already very much witness. The really important questions will remain. Art is there for us to constantly explore ourselves and look at our surroundings from a heightened perspective. Art doesn't need to be beautiful or ugly. It doesn't need to be an ideological tool or a representation of freedom in a constricting social context. It doesn't need to do anything. Art simply needs to exist. I hope that this series has provided some insight into today's music and art in general, and why such pieces were created at that particular time. I also hope that this will give you an encouragement to further explore music from this era and fully appreciate what is yet to come, the future of concert music. I would like to end the first series of this podcast with a piece that I composed specifically for this occasion. It is called the Decaphonic Meditation, and it is a sort of an homage to all the composers and their works which we have listened throughout the series. This piece has a significant personal value and represents my modest contribution to the vast landscape of contemporary concert music. Before we hear our final musical example, I would just like to thank the Croatian Ministry of Culture and Media for sponsoring this podcast. Their help and support is very much appreciated. So, in the end, thank you once again for listening, and see you in the next series of the podcast, The Rite of 433.